there's some badass bitches that like are super tomboyish, and I feel like once I owned that part of me, I was like, nah, I'm sexy ass bitch. So
the definition of sexy is having sex appeal, and so I think it's very subjective when you go from individual to individual on what they find sexually appealing.
Sometimes when I turn in the mirror and I see like my back, like the side of my lat, and like going into like the oblique, like there's this little line that I like, I like that spot right there. Like if someone's like, oh, you're sexy, I'm like, wow. So I'm on a journey of trying to define that for myself. I think sexy for me would be being enough in this body.
But I do know I always wanted a body. So any little hint of something happening, like it was like a celebration. Like I couldn't help. I was like,
And I was like, I really don't give a crap about what anyone thinks about what I have on. It's hot outside. Yeah. I want to go play outside and it's hot.
Hello, sexy people. Welcome back to Conquering Your Sexy. My name is Christina Flores, and I have been a movement educator for 12 years. Yeah, at least 12 years, which is crazy to say. And I also have an educational background in nutrition, psychology, and biochemistry. And I'm also an artist. I'm an actress, I'm a poet. I choreograph different things here and there. I do a lot. And along the way, I found out that something I'm super passionate about and that has never left me is I love to empower other people, not only through movement, but I love to empower myself and other people. I should include me in that, with information. I love to empower myself and other people with self-awareness and the opportunity to reflect and get a little bit deeper as to how we feel and why we feel the way we feel. And that's what this channel is all about. Conquering Your Sexy is about finding out what makes you feel good in your skin. I am so excited to bring you this conversation with these beautiful 5 women. I actually did not plan on making this a podcast. I initially just asked a group of women to come and do a photo shoot with no makeup and minimal hair done in their underwear and their bra. And I decided, why don't we talk first? Why don't we talk about this? Because this is like a little bit out of the norm, right? And I love to do unordinary things and make myself feel uncomfortable. And that was the purpose of this photo shoot. It was like, let's get a little uncomfortable. Let's do something different and get out of our comfort zone. The women that you see in this podcast, it was like the universe picked them, because I asked like 12 or 13 different women of all different shapes, sizes, colors, and these were the 5 women who were available and showed up, and I'm so, so grateful. It really turned out to be a perfect group. The premise, I just asked these women, hey, you wanna come for a free photo shoot? Only catch, no makeup, minimal hair. You can moisturize, but that's it. And we're gonna strip down if you're comfortable with that. Now, before we get into that conversation and you get to see the photos and some of the BTS at the end of the conversation, I wanted to give you a few interesting statistics about the cosmetic industry. These statistics that I'm about to share are generated from an article that cited 16 different scientific sources. So I found them to be reliable, but if you wanna double check or you want to look further into these statistics, go ahead and click the link in the show notes. So let's zero in on Americans. So Americans spend anywhere between roughly $240 and $313 every single month on cosmetics. Women spend about $4,000 a year, whereas men spend about $3,000 a year. So over time, spending $1,000 more a year than other young women who they consider to be aged 8 to 18. So 27% of young women never leave the house without makeup on. Now, of the girls who admitted to wearing makeup, 65% of those girls started wearing makeup in between the ages of 8 and 13. I'm not here to shit on makeup. I love makeup. I love how it enhances things, and I love how we can use it for fun and for expression. And I wear makeup just about every day. Not every day, but pretty much. And if you didn't already notice, I'm not wearing makeup today as an ode to the episode. So I just want to increase your awareness. I want to get you out of your comfort zone. And if you can never leave the house without makeup, why not? Let's dig deeper into this. I want to get this conversation to you. So let's get into it. How did you feel when I asked you to come and do a photo shoot with no makeup on in your underwear and your bra? Did you feel apprehension? Did you feel excited? Did you feel nervous? Did you feel joy? What were the feelings?
I'm always down to like do stuff with you. I was a little apprehensive, if that's the right word, because I don't like being on camera without makeup on. And I think that's just because I've learned how to do my makeup really well. And I feel like when it's done well, I feel very confident. And when that's taken off, I'm just like, oh, I can see all the things that are fixable. Yeah. So that was my like hesitation around it. But then I was just like, whatever, like it's gonna be a good time with good women. So like I'm down, and yeah, so I'm glad I'm here.
I'm still very afraid of my mom, so so when it comes to anything bare, I'm like, oh shoot. But I do support like embracing, especially nowadays, like because everybody's like getting everything done, and I feel like it's just like a place where nobody's comfortable with their body anymore, and like everybody, once they get a little bit of money, feels like now I can enhance this and enhance that. So for me, just pushing that aside and just thinking about like just showing people that they can embrace what they were born with, and it's okay, and like where you are right now is good. So as long as it's not sexual, my mom should be happy.
I feel that for sure. I was excited, again, because same, I'm always excited to do some stuff with you. And I was feeling pretty confident until this guy came on my face, and I was like, no, you know, I'm getting ready or preparing to menstruate. So, of course, this guy comes on. I'm like, all right, well, he's coming with me. We're doing this photo shoot. In terms of like being in underwear, I was a little bit nervous. My mama, for sure. But then also because I feel like I am not someone who feels very comfortable showing my body or showing myself. I think even on Instagram for the past few years, maybe 3-4 years, I've not been showing my face or my body, and to be seen, I feel like I've been hiding a little bit. So I got nervous because I was like, okay, I'm coming out of my little shell, my hibernation, and this, it's real. So you're gonna see me. I mean, at first I was like, in theory, the concept was super exciting. I was like, yes, natural. Like I loved the concept of it. Didn't really think much more about it. I mean, I've done shoots like in underwear before where it was nerve-wracking, but I came out of it feeling like empowered, and I thought the idea of being with a bunch of other women, I was like, this is gonna be great. But then it was like, you know, this morning when I'm like, okay, like moisturizer, and I'm like, oh, I could fill the eyebrows in a little bit, right? Or like just a little concealer. Or like, no, I had to push past the like, they're not gonna know if I just put a little bit of that, right? And I'm like, what am I doing? That's the whole point is to not do that. So in theory, I loved it, but it was the moment of like, okay, here we go, and looking in the mirror was a little nerve-wracking.
Well, we are here now. I definitely had the same feeling as you did about, you know, I don't really do shoots without my makeup, and not that I put a lot. Usually my makeup is like, it goes like the natural way, but I'm not caked up for sure. But I was like, damn, like I got some dark spots, some pimples, but I was just like, I'm down for new experiences. So, and I'm always down to work with Christina. So I'm excited. And yes, I had a little trouble picking. I was like, what underwear do I wear to this? And Thor's like, you better pick a cute one. Don't be picking, no, the ones that I said you got to throw out. And I was like, all right. So we'll see if it works on camera.
So as you all probably know, the brand that I'm building is Conquer Your Sexy. So I want to talk about what that word means to all of you. I'll start with what it means to me. I think that it's a feeling and it's an aura that a human being carries, and every single person has the ability to choose and decide what that feels like and what it looks like for them. And the definition of sexy is having sex appeal. And so I think it's very subjective when you go from individual to individual on what they find sexually appealing. But I think it gets this kind of blanket feeling and statement and this look of what you think sexy is and what it means. So I'm very passionate about redefining sexy and figuring out what it means to me, what it means to you, how we find it, how we lose it, how we bring it back, all of that. So what does it mean to you?
I feel like it's always felt a little bit out of reach. It feels like sexy to me, I think of confidence and almost like being untouchable. I don't know why that's what the first thing that came to mind, where it's almost like I don't know. I think the first thing that comes to mind is almost not the most human parts of me, which is interesting because that's maybe not where I'd want it to be, but I think of it almost being like this elevated, more confident, more, I think confidence is the biggest thing that comes to mind.
Sexy. I think for the longest time, sexy was something that was other and not me. Like I could recognize sexy outside of me, but recognizing sexy within me or as me embodying that, I'm not sure that I've ever seen it that way. So I am trying to define sexy without it being something that's dictated by like societal standards or Instagram or the vibe that is LA. And I think we all know what we're talking about. But it is interesting because sexy has always been something outside of me. And I've never like seen it as me. Like if someone's like, "Oh, you're sexy," I'm like, "Wow." So I'm on a journey of trying to define that for myself. I think sexy for me would be being enough in this body as I am. My voice, my lips, my hair, my eyes, my ass. And it is a little bit of this like alter ego, this like Sasha Fierce situation, but how do I integrate that? So trying to alchemize and transmute whatever shame that I've incurred throughout my life to find that definition is where I am at now.
Sexy. So it's funny because like growing up, I always wanted to be like cute. But people would always describe me as sexy, and I was never trying to be sexy. So I used to get really annoyed with that. But I think that part of my annoyance was that growing up, I was raised with, I went to school with like mostly like not black people. So it'd be like Puerto Rican, Portuguese, Filipino. So I did feel like I was sexy because I was like more like fetishized. Like I wasn't trying to be sexy. It was just like, you're sexy, like you're exotic, you're different. We want to try something different. Now, so I never thought I was sexy. I always was like, and I felt insecure. Now I think I found sexy in just like appreciating being different in a lot of spaces and being confident in that and like just like feeling like special because I am me and I am different. So it's just a new sexy. It's not like sexy like, oh, all of this. It's like sexy because I'm who I am, I'm the shit. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, that makes total sense. I feel like I've never really connected with the word sexy before. I remember like one time in college we had like this choreography project, and my teacher, who was a woman, after like I did it or whatever, she was like, "Your style is like kind of sexy." And I was like, "No, it's not. What the hell?" And like as I've made more projects, I'm like, "Oh shit, she's kind of right." But I don't look at myself as like a sexy person, but I do look at it kind of like what you were saying, like an alter ego. Like I kind of know how to like turn it on. Like I know if I'm in a space where like there's going to be a lot of men there and I need them to agree on something, or so like turn on your sexy, you know, and get cute, bitch, and get in there and do the thing, and then go home and be comfortable. And I think for me, sexy is more just like another version of myself that I'm able to use to my advantage, because everybody's view of it is so different that like I can tap into it and multiple people can identify with it. And if they don't, then they don't. But the goal is never to like, I don't know, be sexy for someone else. It's to embody sexy how I see it and how I can use it.
So sexy for me is definitely, I correlate it with confidence. I think people who are super confident are super sexy, and I think I feel the most sexiest like when I am the most confident in myself, whether if it's in my body or in my knowledge, because I think intelligence is also super hot, guy or girl. But I do remember, I feel like when I was younger, sexy kind of like I related it to like femininity, and I was definitely not. I'm very tomboyish, and it felt out of reach for me as well. But then I realized, I was like, yo, there's some badass bitches that like are super tomboyish, and I feel like once I owned that part of me, I was like, nah, I'm sexy ass bitch. So so yeah, and I think it's because of like the culture that I grew up with, like the Dominican culture. It's like super feminine, you're like submissive, and you know, like, and I was like, nah, fuck all that. So I think confidence is what sexy is.
I think the last time that I felt unaware of what my body looked like was like probably as early as 4 years old. And I was really curious to know when that happened for you. Like, when did you start becoming aware of like, oh, like I have a little belly, or like I'm supposed to look like this or like that? And maybe it's not the earliest memory that you have, but just like a significant memory. One for me that's much later than 4, but like at 10 years old, I remember trying on a 2-piece bathing suit. And I went with my mom and my madrina, and they were like, it looks so beautiful on you, like you should get it. And I was like, I can't, my belly's, I don't have the belly for that. Like that was I thought I had to have a nice belly for a 2-piece, so I wanted the 1-piece. And they're like, okay, if you're not comfortable, that's all right. So is there anything that comes to mind for you?
Yeah. I would say my mother was always down on herself about her body, and she didn't put it on me, but I picked up on it more than she realized. She was always on the next fad diet and always complaining about her weight. And so I remember being at a specific vacation, like when I was on a shuttle bus to the airport, and I remember I was wearing shorts, and I sat down on the bus, and I still remember looking down at my thighs and seeing the way they spread out naturally, and like the first time noticing that and thinking like, oh my gosh, my thighs are fat, which is so ridiculous because I look back on pictures of that exact vacation and I was like scrawny little girl thin. It's crazy that I remember thinking my legs were fat when it couldn't be further from the truth. So I remember that.
The first time, I'm trying to think. I feel like, sorry. I grew up, mommy, very Catholic, Puerto Rican, very traditional, in my household. So there was a bit of shame, I think, that happened of like, good girls hide their bodies, good girls don't dress certain ways. So I don't think that I really realized until I was like maybe in 5th grade, and kids are changing at that point. And my god sister, we went to the same elementary school. We were in the same grade, and she started to bud a little bit. And, she had titties and hips and a waist, and I was still a little bit scrawny and wearing overalls, and I remember being like, fuck, like I'm not budding. My boobs aren't coming in, and I'm scrawny. And I remember being like, oh, I'm not good enough. And then I got my period and I was pissed because I didn't want it. But then after that, I think I started to, the next part of that story was that I noticed that on the train, because I used to take the train into middle school and high school, on the train I started noticing like older men noticing me, and I didn't like it. So my best friend at the time, his name was Chill, and he lived down the street from me. I started borrowing his clothes. So I started to dress baggier when I knew that I was going to be taking the train, because I didn't want anybody to look at me. I didn't want to notice the men looking at me. And that's when the conversation started with my mom of like, you know, when we go to family parties, like, don't say hi to this gentleman or don't say hi to that gentleman. Like, I see that they have wandering eyes, you know? So it started to become dangerous. It started to feel unsafe. So when I started to notice my body is when I started to hide.
Well, I feel you on the whole like bus thing, because that's definitely it. Bus and train. I used to take the bus and train in Jersey, and definitely older men like looking, or just like all the weird shit. But as far, it's so weird. Like I've seen, I don't even want to get into it, but I've seen some crazy stuff on buses. Like it's crazy. But similarly to you, like I don't remember when I started to like notice my body, like for real. But I do know I always wanted a body. So any little hint of something happening, like it was like a celebration. Like I could not. I was like,
When you have like one boob, and
yeah, like
has
what? I used to do. I don't know if y'all ever read Are You There? I just did a skit on this too. Have you ever read like Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret? Yeah. Okay, so that's I know. I used to read I think it was like 3rd or 4th grade. Like all of my friends like would take this book out from the school library one at a time, and like be like, you got to read this book because it tells you how to grow your boobs. So. So we would like, okay, they got it one week, next week, and there's like a prayer in there where you're like, I must increase my bust, and you're supposed to do it. Margaret does that every night.
That's from?
Yes. Okay. And Margaret does that every night so she can grow her boobies, and that's what I was doing. I was trying to grow my boobs. They still haven't really grown, but the prayer doesn't work. But so one of my classmates, she had like, in like 3rd grade, she had to have a C cup already. So I was just like, why is she there and I'm not there yet? Everybody was starting to wear bras and stuff like that. So I just couldn't wait to develop something.
Get a little something.
Just a little something.
I feel like I noticed my body when I was younger, when I was doing ballet, because it was a lot of very slender white girls, and then there was me. And so it was a lot of like, tuck your butt in, and I'm like, it's not going anywhere. So that was like a lot of the body stuff I heard, but I was able to really kind of ignore most of that stuff because I knew, like, I already knew like that has nothing to do with me. But what I did as I got older realize is that I also had like a Christian and Catholic upbringing. My dad was Baptist and my mom was Catholic, so I was raised Catholic, but also had like a lot of Baptist family, and so they were very much big on like the shame thing of like cover everything, and you know, good girls cover up and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I really don't give a crap about what anyone thinks about what I have on. It's hot outside. Yeah. You know, I want to go play outside and it's hot. And so that used to cause a lot of just like tiffs in my family over my body because I wouldn't like abide by these weird rules. But I think as I got older, those two things started to like combine, because I eventually got to the point in ballet where I realized, oh, this body is not a ballet body, so I'm gonna have to like quit ballet. And that doesn't mean I have to like stop taking classes, but the journey of like thinking I was gonna join a company, like that was over. So it was like figuring out like, what do I do with this body now that I can't do the thing that I thought I was gonna do, and that I'm being told I also need to like cover up all the time. So that was really weird to like navigate and figure out. Yeah, but I think now I just wear whatever the heck I want.
That's it.
Yeah, let's talk about next. What do you love about your body? Like, what are you feeling on right now? What is your power part in your life that you're feeling?
Okay, hold it. For me, I would have to say it's my back and my arms, which I got from just boxing. I don't do anything else, but that's where I got them from, and I think that's probably the best thing. But before, I used to think it was like my legs, because those were the only things that I used to work out, and definitely my back now, for sure.
You know, I really love my chest. I love like how wide it is. And I don't know, sometimes people have complimented it, but I've been noticing more because I've never had the boobs, right? But like, I love this openness right here.
Décolletage,
Yeah,
clavicle.
I love showing this part of my body off. It feels so like elegant and sexy. So yeah, I like my chest.
I'd say I love my muscles that I've worked hard to, build. I think of my legs, but I think like if we're talking about specifically right now, sometimes when I turn in the mirror and I see like my back, like the side of my lat and like going into like the oblique, like there's this little line that I like that spot right there.
I love that. I think for a long time it was my ass. I liked how it jiggled. I liked that it was big. I liked that my hips, and I think for me it's just, it's like my waist and then just how it dips down into my hips, and that has always felt really good and sensual and sexy to me, so.
Double mic'd up. She was like, and it's gonna go right back to you too. My favorite part of my body is my arms. I really like my arms. When I was growing up, people used to call me Angela Bassett or Tina Turner arms. So I used to be like, so I just always loved, and the weird thing is like, I was just like born with my arms like cut up. Like, it was just, I came out the womb ready to fight. No. So there's just always been secondly, I do like my booty too, but my arms is just what, just naturally what mommy and daddy gave me, and I love it. I'll take it back from you.
Okay, fabulous. I guess right now, my thighs, the women in my family have really huge thighs. No hips to be found. None. It's very aggravating. How do you have big thighs and no hips? But I like to dance, and they help support me dancing, and I like to do a lot of stuff on the floor, and I like to do a lot of extensions, and I feel like my thighs, like the way that they look with my calves, that sounds so weird, they just make my lines look better. So yeah, my thighs.
All right. You guys ready to take your clothes off?
You're not gonna ease us. You're not gonna ease us into it. If you recording us, you would. I'd be like, I gotta go. You ready to take your clothes off? Excuse me. Can you give me some wine first?
Go girl, get your skin, girl. You know that you got it, girl. You know that you go all around the world and you fascinate. You're making all your dreams your bait. This is not the time to wait. Don't hold back, don't hesitate. My lips, my skin, my hair, my ass. Ideas flowing out my veins, can you grasp? My body, my time, my story, my life. On time, every time what I got is just right. I dream of a world where a woman can wake up and feel like she doesn't have to put anything extra on. A woman that feels like her skin is allowed to change. That her body is allowed to ebb and flow and get bigger and smaller. And that she can look at somebody else and not feel like less. She can just be herself. Yeah, be herself.